Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard, and thank you for watching today's Northeast Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. As we look at the last 72 hours of precipitation, we saw light showers moving across the region over the last 24 to 48 hours across northern portions of the Northeast region, and now we're watching heavier rain and thunderstorms moving in from the west, coming out of the eastern Corn Belt, moving into the Northeast region as a part of a larger storm system with that center of low pressure tracking across parts of Quebec and Ontario. The last 14 days, though, really highlights this pattern where we've been watching this corridor of heavy rain across parts of the central United States, getting into the eastern Corn Belt, and then eventually parts of the Northeast region, with corridors of heavy rain and thunderstorms traversing the region, again saturating many of the fields across the Corn Belt, which continues to be a very problematic growing season in this area. I think the NBM here, the National Blended Model, does a great job of highlighting what we're going to be looking at over the next 10 days or so. We're in a bit of a transition phase here. We're going to be lifting the jet stream north, building in a subtle ridge or a fairly well-defined ridge, but it's a messy ridge with little perturbations tracking along and south of that. So the stronger upper-level jet stream support lifts north now, and with that goes the corridor of more uniform, heavy rain in the form of these clusters of showers and thunderstorms. But beneath that ridge, we're still going to have little disturbances, little perturbations within the flow, combined with a very warm, a very hot and unstable air mass. And we're going to be kicking off clusters of showers and thunderstorms across the Corn Belt, across the Midwest here. And then each one of these has the potential to track off to the east, bringing heavier rain to parts of, perhaps Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York State here. Meanwhile, each one of these storm systems that kicks off across the Canadian prairies has a chance to ride over the top of that ridge, eventually bringing some heavier precipitation into parts of the Northeast region. The week one precipitation anomalies from the GFS ensemble model here, taking us through the last week of June, highlights this pretty well, keeping the heavier precipitation off to the north, keeping wetter than average conditions across the northern half of the Northeast region. Drier conditions shown here across the eastern Corn Belt into parts of Pennsylvania, but we know that the ensemble model doesn't do a good job picking up on isolated thunderstorm activity that I mentioned is going to be ongoing across parts of the central and the eastern Corn Belt. And that includes parts of the Northeast region as well, watching for these daily chances for isolated thunderstorms to pop up, isolated clusters of thunderstorms. So while it looks drier here, it's a bit of an exaggeration here from the ensemble model. There will be rain and thunderstorms in this area over the next week. Taking it out into the week 2 time frame, so now we're talking about the first week of July. And I'm going to show you here, we got very poor consistency within the broader long-range models here, our medium to long-range guidance. We're working some wetter than average conditions into parts of the central U.S. again, keeping things maybe wet and cool across the region. Near average conditions across the Northeast. You see pockets of dry, pockets of wet there, but they're low on the spectrum over here, keeping things pretty much near average as we get into the first week of July. And we'll take a more in-depth look here in just a moment after we talk about the temperatures here. Temperatures for the next 5 days, taking us through June 30th now, keeping things on the warm side across the Northeast region here and across much of the central and eastern U.S. As we head into the 5 days following that, so now the last couple days of June, first couple days of July, keeping things near to slightly above average here, still underneath that broader ridge across the central and eastern U.S. So again, near average to warmer than average, but certainly not seeing any pockets of very cool weather across the Northeast region for the next 10 days. Taking a look at the now, we're looking at the radar on Tuesday morning. Here is this well-defined storm system across Quebec and Ontario, with that front extending off to the south now, bringing in some heavier rain and thunderstorms now across parts of the Northeast region. Those will continue to work their way west to east as we head through the rest of the day. We'll check in now with the high-resolution NAM model and what it's got going on for the next 3 days or so. We'll let this go ahead and start back over, and then we'll play through time with it. We'll go ahead and we'll get through to the end of this loop. We'll start it once more. Here goes our Tuesday precipitation. Let me switch over to a color that actually shows up here. Here are the Tuesday afternoon and evening showers and storms working their way across the region. They exit here by the time we get to this would be Wednesday afternoon, so perhaps lingering it through the Tuesday overnight into Wednesday early afternoon across parts of Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. And then as we head through the middle part of the week now, getting into Wednesday afternoon, and now we're into Thursday morning, and now Thursday afternoon, keeping things drier across the Northeast region. So as we talk about the next 3 days, it really comes down to this Tuesday into early Wednesday rain moving from west to east across the region. Total precipitation here, you see it as we go through the next, again, 3 days, the next 60 hours. most of this precipitation, if not all of it, coming in the form of this Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning rain and thunderstorm activity. We'll go ahead and take a look at the atmospheric instability here. You know, we're going straight into a late June and early July period where across the entire, central and eastern United States, we've got uninterrupted flow off the Gulf of Mexico, keeping warm and humid air pumping northward. And as we work in that June sun, we heat things up, we become very hot and muggy, and that is all the energy we need for thunderstorms to kick off during the afternoon and evening. And that's why even with the better upper level jet stream winds going up over the top of this ridge, we'll still have daily chances for scattered showers and storms across the Corn Belt and into parts of the Northeast region. Severe weather outlook for the next 3 days. Here is today in the top left. This would be our Tuesday outlook, looking at a slight risk of severe storms from the Great Lakes into the Central Plains with an enhanced risk across parts of Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, and Iowa. As we head into the day on Wednesday, looking at a marginal risk for some strong storms across parts of western New York, parts of western and northern Pennsylvania. And then as we head into the day on Thursday now, taking that thunderstorm risk almost entirely out of the Northeast region. No real risk of severe storms on Thursday. That severe storm risk heading off towards off to the north and to the west. Take a look now. We'll just loop out the national blended model. Again, it's showing that precipitation here on Tuesday. And then as we head into the later part of the run, this gets us into the weekend and then into next week. Watching this corridor here, this is where we've got the strongest upper level jet stream support, and that's where we see the corridors of the heavy rain. But check it out, underneath that ridge across the Corn Belt into parts of the Northeast region, seeing scattered chances for showers and storms as we head through the next 10 days. We'll look left on the left side of the screen here. This is the upper level jet stream winds. It's going to show you the same story here. We're going to go through and then look at precipitation on the right. You're seeing the stronger jet stream winds lift off to the north, and that's where you're seeing the corridor of the heavier thunderstorm activity. But look down here, still seeing clusters of showers and storms popping up, even without the upper level jet stream support. The total next 7 days, total precipitation from the European weather model highlighting this well, this corridor of the heavier precipitation now across the northern United States, with parts of the Northeast region picking up on some of that, with scattered precipitation activity across the central and eastern United States. Side by side, the European weather model and the GFS highlight this pretty well again, with heavier precipitation expected across the north, and then isolated precipitation chances going to be found across the south. Here's the inconsistency I'm talking about. We're looking at the same weather model for the same time, the 4 most recent runs. So most recent in the bottom right, least recent in the top left. So we can start 4 runs ago. We've got a broad ridge or a well-defined ridge across the Northeast. This would be warmer and drier across the Northeast region, with this trough kind of diving across the northern plain states. We then head to the evening. This would be, let's see, which run was this? We head to 3 runs ago now. We've got this broader ridge across the central United States. We have northwest flow now across the Northeast region. This is cooler and rainier across the Northeast. So within the same day now, we've got hot and dry on the left, and we've got cooler and rainy on the right. Let's go to the run yesterday morning. So this is Monday morning now. We've got a more subtle trough across the northern plains and again, a more gentle ridge over the eastern United States. And so this would still be kind of northwest flow across the region. This is maybe near average temperatures with still chances for isolated showers and storms. And then we head to the run from last night. So this would be Monday evening, our most recent run of the European long-range model. And we've got this amplified trough over the western United States, which doesn't appear in either of these. We've got some semblance of the trough here, but this really well-defined western United States trough, a broader ridge through the central United States, maybe redraw that more like this, with northwest flow across the northeastern region, again keeping things active in the precipitation corridor, it's precipitation category. So for the Northeast region, perhaps leaning towards, as we head into the first week of July, more northwest flow, perhaps keeping precipitation chances in the region, but just a lot of inconsistency here. Between what is normally our most reliable weather model. So we're going to have to just watch how this thing evolves over the next 4 days. There's a lot of moving parts, and that's why we're going to leave the first week of July for some of our later forecasts. We'll finish with the high temperature forecast here over the next 5 days. Your Tuesday high temperature is cooler off to the north, where we have rain and clouds, only topping out in the middle to upper 60s in that area, with upper 80s to near 90s nosing into the southern portions of the Northeast region. A bit warmer for the day on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, And we will finish with Saturday as we begin to introduce our next chance for more widespread cloud and rain activity, keeping things a bit cooler in the mid-70s to the middle 80s as you head from north to south. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Thursday morning ag forecast video, and I'll have your next Northeast regional forecast midday on Friday. Have a great day.